So welcome to Sunday morning yoga therapy. And today we're working with the hips. Last week we did a lot of external and internal rotation. Today we're going to do a little bit more of this kind of movement. And so that's abduction and adduction. And we're also going to go into the psoas with the chair. I'm going to do my famous chair lunges. So if you could have a chair nearby. And then when we lie on the ground, I'm going to try to work with the psoas a bit using the bolster. So make sure you have a belt. And I realize my belt is in my drawer, I think, because I don't see it. So yeah, my belt, there it is. So just to begin, just bending the knees, tracking over second toes. And yes, the knees can go all the way to the toes. You'll be fine. Inhale, straightening and pulling up on the kneecaps if that's comfortable for your knees. Exhale, bend the knees, feel knees tracking over the second toes. Inhale, lifting and perhaps lifting even the toes. You can try spreading the toes, so just starting with the legs and feet. Exhale, make a ha sound. Inhale, lifting, and perhaps lift the chest now, thoracic spine. And exhale, grounding. Inhale, expanding, lifting, lightening. Pull up on those kneecaps if that's comfortable. And exhale. And inhale. And last time. It's comfortable bringing your feet together. I'm going to do the Patanjali invocation. And Patanjali is that snake bed that Vishnu lies on. We're going to be doing the Vishnu pose today, called Uttanasana. Ananta is that snake, not too hard, not too soft. So in our bodies and our minds, we want that balance between strength and softness, flexibility and strength, stiram and sukham. And that's going to be a sub-theme today. This chant is to Patanjali, who's said to be Vishnu's snake sent down to earth. And he became half man, half snake. And he represents these qualities. He wrote the Yoga Sutras. This is the mythical version of him. Yogena chittasya padena vacha malam sharirasya cha vaidhyakena yopakarotam pravaram munena Patanjalim pranjaliranatosmi abahu purushakaram shankachakrasitharinam sahasrashirasam shvetam pranamami Patanjalim Shrimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha. When you're ready, inhale, bringing the arms up. Maybe adding your toes right away or not. And exhale, bringing the hands by your sides. And inhale, bring your arms front if that works for you, and coming on your toes or not. And exhale, coming down. And just sub-theme today, also working with the whole spine or lower back. Feel how when you bring your arms to your sides, it's more upper back, neck and shoulders. And when you bring your arms to the front, it's a bit more lower back. Those lower back muscles working a bit more. We're also using the core quite a bit with the hands forward, because your body's trying to go forward and your core's keeping you back. So that's also helpful. So just do that in your own timing. Inhale up, exhale down. Just timing this with your breath, your breath. Pausing between inhale and exhale. Perhaps inhaling into the chest, then into the belly. Exhale, coming down. Bringing the attention back to the hips, the legs. So you inhale, coming up. If you can, having your legs together, you could put a block between your legs as well. We're going to try that in a minute. And especially as you exhale, can you pull up from the pelvic floor to the belly button and squeeze the thighs together and feel the feet. Inhale, coming up. We'll try that a little differently this time. Exhale. I want you to pull in the belly button, lower belly, pelvic floor, squeeze the thighs, and feel the calves and the feet. So we're going to breathe down as we exhale. Inhale. Exhale, belly button, lower belly, pelvic floor, thighs, calves, feet. Just keep that going. Just focusing on that long exhale and squeezing from the belly button down. This is hurting your feet in any way, you don't have to go on the toes. As you come down, you want to resist that movement. I didn't manage that time, but you want to resist that movement and try to land on your heels just as your hands come down. So it can be challenging. And you could have a block between your thighs. If you like to have your feet apart, that can help you get that compression, that connection. It's comfortable staying at the top and breathing here. And when you're ready, coming down, if you haven't come down, just rest for a moment in Samasthiti. Maybe you have a sankalpa, an intention to add to this class. We're working with the second chakra area, the center of emotions, creativity, birth and transformation, reproductive organs here. It could be something like, may I feel emotionally balanced. Or it could be very physical, may my hips feel balanced. And release for a moment. You're going to grab a block, or you can use a pillow. So I'm going to use this smaller block. It's really nice with a thin pillow. I hope you guys can see me okay. The light is quite bright today. Perhaps move out of it a little bit so you can move closer so you can see me a bit better. So you're going to squeeze that block. It's nice with a pillow that you can squeeze. We do this lying down too, but I just want you to experience this. It can be really nice on the knees. So I've got my feet together. And as I exhale, I'm going to squeeze that block and I'm going to pull up on my kneecaps. That might not feel good for your knees. And then exhale, release. And then inhale, pull up. And then exhale, stay here, squeeze into the block. Inhale, stay. And exhale, release. You can add arms if you want. Inhale. Exhale, stay, squeeze into the center. Breathe from the belly button down to the feet. Inhale, pull up. Holding that. Exhale, release, bend. Try that a few more times. All variations of Uttanasana. Inhale. Exhale, squeeze to the center. Inhale, lengthen, pull up. And exhale, release. So this is working on that adduction, the inner thighs. This is also very grounding, very good for the pelvic floor, very good for the transversus abdominis, the lower abdominals. Exhale. Pull in those abdominals all the way to the pelvic floor, through the inner thighs, down to the feet. Inhale. Into the chest and maybe the upper belly. And exhale, breathing down to the feet. Let's just do one more time. Inhale. Exhale, breathing from the belly button down, squeeze that block or pillow. Inhale, stay, lengthen. And exhale, release. And notice where you feel that. You might be feeling it one of your feet, for example. Okay, so we're going to move into some side bends. I'm going to keep my legs together. Now, you could keep that block if you like that. You can keep that block between your thighs. Some people like a wider block, whatever works for you, or a pillow. Or you can even use a physio ball. That could be a great prop as well. Inhale, arms coming up. You can come on the toes or not. Exhale, coming to one side. And then come down on your feet. And then can you stretch the whole side body? And we're going to focus on the hips today. Can you stick your hips out? Inhale, center. We're just going to go side to side. I'm coming up on the toes. You do not have to. Exhale, I try to keep on the toes as long as possible. And then at the end of the exhale, I come down to stick my hip out. Inhale, center. Arm variations. You can bring that lower arm down. You can bend the upper arm. It might feel better for your neck and shoulders. Might feel better not to have your arms up overhead at all because you have a shoulder injury. You could just hold your opposite elbows as you do this. That can help you get into the rib cage one side at a time by pulling that top elbow if you've got some tightness in there. That's one I particularly like for some compression I have in my ribs because of my scoliosis. You can do this at the wall behind you. And I'm starting to move into staying. So let's stay now on your left side. Whatever arms you want, and you can cross one foot or the other. Usually when I'm like this, I cross the same foot as the side I'm on. But if I go to the wall, which I know some of you like this variation, I do the opposite foot. And That allows me to get a little bit deeper. There, that's what I'm trying to show. There we go. It's like something's wrong with this picture. When you're ready, going to the other side. I'm showing at the wall today. So again, when I'm at the wall, I usually use the other foot. So I can get a little bit more deeply if my target is the hips. And the QL area, quadratus lumborum, it's a big stabilizer in the lower back and hips. Hard to breathe here, try your best. We're gonna do one more round. A bunch of you have this issue in this class. Crossing the feet however you like, inhale, arm up, exhale, side. You do this away from the wall or using the wall. And switching sides, stay there 4 to 6 breaths. So inhale up, I see some of you doing the correct breathing, exhale side. And you can bend the elbow, you can hold the wall if you've got the wall there. And when you're ready, coming up. And you're probably feeling the sides quite a bit. Let's just do a forward bend. We're going to do forward bend at the chair. Let's do spinal stretch. So I want you to hold the back of the chair. I want you to walk back, do a half forward bend, Ardha Uttanasana. I just want you to turn your hips side to side, getting into that same side hip area. Again, this can be very helpful for lower back pain. It might feel better to have your hands on the seat of the chair. I bend the knee of the side I'm bringing my hips to. Inhale, center. Imagine you're riding a horse. Your knees are nice and wide. And then exhale, move your hips the other side. You can move your head as well if you want to add that. Inhale, center, exhale, side. Just notice what works better. Hands on the seat of the chair, hands on the back of the chair. I think I like myself, the back of the chair, the angle better, but you can play with the knees, which knee feels good to bend. Usually bend the knee of the side I'm going towards. And then just stay in the pose, Ardha Uttanasana, half forward bend. Just stretching the spine nice and long. As you exhale, draw the belly in from the pelvic floor up to the belly button. Inhale from the chest to the belly. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, and feel the lower back stretch. So doing this for the lower back. Whole spine being stretched, spinal stretch, this is sometimes called. Another add-on, inhale here, and then exhale, bend the knees. I like to do that one with my hands on the seat of the chair. It helps you get into those legs and feet and get a little traction into the lower back as you bend the knees. Creates a bit of space in the lower back, a bit of length. It's also stretching under the armpits. And when you're ready, coming up. All right. So we're going to do some of our leg movements, targeting the hips, thinking about our hips today. So same pose we did a few weeks ago, but we're going to think about our hips today rather than our whole leg. We're just going to think about this top part. Inhale, arms coming up. And exhale, you're going to bring one leg up, bent knee or straight, and really stand on the opposite leg. And I want you to think about pulling up on that standing leg, that right leg for you. Pull up and really stand there as you engage that core. Inhale, standing up straight, arms up. And exhale, other side, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. Bringing the knee up, moving the leg from the core. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in. And just keep that going. Now, if your hip flexors are starting to get tight, probably means you're not engaging the core. So do your best to pull up from the pelvic floor to the belly button, unless you have some issues in your pelvic floor where pulling on the pelvic floor doesn't work for you. If you're hypertonic there, you might just engage the transverse abdominis instead. Really pull up on that standing leg. That hip will want to stick out. This can be very helpful for balancing the hips, strengthening the outsides of the hips, the glute med in particular. You can add on if you want, as we did a couple of weeks ago, exhale, coming up. If you want, inhale, extend, or you just keep going back and forth, your choice. Exhale in, inhale up. Try to slow that down. Exhale. Inhale, extend, maybe a little bit or a lot. See where you can go. Exhale, that's really working those quads. Inhale. So just see if that's counterproductive. That might not be working for you today. It's going into the legs a bit more. So hips and then full leg. Pointing the toes. And last time. Pull up on that standing leg. Inhale. Extend. Exhale, draw in. Engage that core. Mula Bandha. Inhale. Mula Bandha means root lock. It's from the pelvic floor just to the base of the belly button, according to the yogis. Exhale, hands coming down. And notice how you feel. That will help you with your walking. Just keeping more stability in your hips. We're going to go side to side now. Come a little forward. Make sure you got some space here because we're going to do some big side movements. Inhale, arms coming up. Now exhale, you can just bring your leg to the side like this. And inhale, coming up. So we're going to start with that, and then we're going to actually add a little bit more core work. So this is really targeting the hip. Start with that. You can look straight ahead or slightly down. Keeps your focus a bit more internal. As you bring the leg to the side, try to really stand up on the other leg. And last time, we're going to add on now. Okay, so I'm going to add on, bringing that leg to the side, and I forgot to say this, you can leave the foot on the ground. Can you balance a little bit or a lot and make a star position? Inhale, coming up. And exhale, expanding out. This is really working the core. It's working the legs. It's working the hips. And it's doing a whole bunch of things. Really pull up on that leg and try to place that other leg just the last moment as your hands come together. You can leave the foot on the ground. You don't have to go very far. You might just go there, or you can bring that leg up. Keep drawing the belly in. And inhale up. I don't know about you, I'm getting pretty warm. And yeah, you can do this with the wall behind you as well. That's a nice way to do it. Keep the alignment of the shoulders. All right, and finishing up. Okay, we're going to go behind now. So you can use your chair if you like. You can use blocks or nothing. I'll show it freestyle first. Inhale, arms coming up. Exhale, tipping forward as you bring your hands by your hips. You might just come here, or can you tip a little bit more forward, or maybe even halfway? You might use that wall behind you for your foot if it's available. And inhale, coming up. And again, trying to place that left foot on the ground at the last moment, standing on 2 feet and then going to 1 foot at a time. It's also wonderful for the lower back and the core. It's using the full leg now, strengthening those hamstrings. And if some of you, that's your goal, this one should really help with that. So that might be your pose, whatever distance you come down towards the floor. Now you can do it with your arms at the side. You might prefer that for more balance. You can also have your foot at the wall behind you, something like that, which is quite nice. Imagine I'm there helping you toe your big toes down, because they'll tend to crawl out to the side. So heel up, aligned with your toes. Try not to turn your foot out. So that might be your pose, or you might try bringing your hands to the seat of the chair or to the back of the chair. You could have a wall behind you as well, if that works in your space. So it's starting to look a little bit more like Warrior 3. Oops, this side today is a little tough for me. Something going on with my right leg today. So every day is different. That was a bit of a surprise. So when you have those things, you just kind of notice it and adjust. Let's just do one more round. You could have your hands on the seat of the chair. That becomes a bit of a different pose. That's moving more towards Ekapada Uttanasana, one-legged forward bend, which we actually did do a couple of weeks ago. That's moving more into the legs. If you stay here, it's more your back and hips. The higher up you are, go down, you feel that stretch in the hamstring. And finishing up. Just got one more I can see. All right, and finding your samastiti. Probably feeling fairly warm now. And hopefully you feel a little bit more lifted in your legs. You can feel those legs, those hips firing a bit. Okay, so we're gonna do our tree hugging chair. But before we do that, since we have the chair, I'm gonna start with the chair. This is a great little exercise, surprisingly challenging. Inhale, bringing the arms up. We're gonna do Ukutasana. Fierce pose, often translated as chair pose because it looks like you're sitting in a chair. Now be careful not to miss the chair as you sit down. So find that chair, make sure your feet are close enough. And inhale, coming up. You can do this without a chair. You just come halfway down and bend your knees over your toes. This is really helping balance those hips. Now, you can add on by using a block between the legs. Just again, be careful not to miss that chair. Touch it first and make sure you're in the right place. Feel the difference? I actually really like this with a pillow because you can squeeze the pillow, but I've got a block today, so I'm going to use that. So surprisingly challenging, yeah? Okay, so we're going to come to the center. I'm going to keep that block just because of the inner thigh focus today. Nice pillow, squishy pillow is lovely for this. Actually, you know what I'm going to use instead? I haven't shown you this term is the bolster. So a big bed pillow can be used for this. It's going to be a little challenging, but if you have this and you can squeeze it, this one's a little bit big. Okay, there we go. Gotta get it in the right place. There we go. I haven't done this one in a while. Okay, so inhale, arms up, and exhale, squeeze that block or pillow, come down. Inhale up. And exhale. I like something all the way to the floor because you squeeze all the way to the feet. I actually find a bed pillow is a bit better length for this one. But I'm going to use the bolster for today. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Now, can you stay there and then maybe adjust that a little bit? Can you stay there in the pose, either in the center of the room or go to the wall? And then this works quite nicely with the bolster. Again, bed pillow works. And can you squeeze that pillow as you exhale and inhale, release? Do this in the center of the room, up and down if you prefer. Inhale, arms coming up, release the knees. And exhale, squeeze the knees, squeeze the thighs, the inner thighs, squeeze that pillow, that bolster. And then this really starts to cook. Exhale, squeeze from the pelvic floor down, or belly button all the way down to the feet. Inhale. So we're going to do that downward breathing pattern. Inhale up. Exhale, belly button, lower belly, pelvic floor, squeeze the bolster. Feel the feet. And one more time. Belly button all the way to the feet. You can add a hold after exhale. And your thighs are burning at this point. So let's give that a break. All right. So just stand on your 2 feet and notice how you feel. Just notice how you feel on your 2 feet. And if you tend to weight more on one foot versus the other, can you feel that that other foot is firing a little bit better? That other leg? Just notice that. You might feel a lot of energy in your legs and feet right now. And hopefully the hips. All right. So we're going to go into our chair lunges now. This is getting into the psoas. You can do this at the wall, but I'm going to do it on a chair. So you're going to bring your left foot up on the chair. You might want to have a yoga mat under your chair for this, just for stability. And I like to put the chair at the wall again for stability. I've got a blanket on the back of it just so it doesn't mark my walls. So that's a good little trick if you don't want to mark your walls. So you're trying, if you can, so well, step one is just stand here naturally, knee over ankle approximately. back foot can be turned out. So you can just do that like more of a warrior stance. Bring your knee towards your toes as you inhale and exhale. Release. If you can you square off that back foot and make it more like a runner's lunge? And if you can, so that would be that movement, okay? If you can, to get more space, can you bring that back foot further back? This is a little more tricky. You can hold the back of the chair, go into that full lunge, and you're gonna feel a big stretch in that back hip flexor into the thigh probably. And exhale, we'll add the arms, opposite arm to front leg. So I'm using my right arm, my left leg, inhale up. And exhale, release. You can straighten the leg totally if you like. And then exhale, inhale. Exhale, release. Lots of versions of this. You can do a different one if you like. It's great for the hip and psoas and the lower back. I often teach this during lower back classes. We're moving there next week. We're going to stay here, bring our hands either to the wall or the back of the chair. Exhale, or the seat of the chair if you're more flexible. Exhale, bend that back knee. Can you bend it? And then inhale, straighten. You can bring the heel down. Exhale, bend that back knee a little bit or a lot. This might be too much strain on your knee. Just be careful. Inhale, straighten. Just trying to get into that muscle, the psoas, the quad a bit more. One of my favorite ways to stretch the quads. Let's notice no knee pain. Hands on the wall might make it a little easier. Might start pressing back into the calf and hamstring stretch on the exhale. Inhale up, exhale, bend that back knee. So now I'm adding on. Inhale, straighten, exhale, stretch the front leg. This is an add-on. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, bend the back knee, feel that quad. Inhale, straighten the leg. Exhale, stretch the front leg. You'll be holding onto the back of the chair while doing this. We'll just do one more. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, bend the back knee, that right knee. Inhale, straighten the back leg. Exhale, stretch front. And you could stay there if you like to stretch that front leg, or come out and just do a half forward bend, hands on the seat of the chair or the back of the chair, as we did earlier, your choice. You can just stay here and breathe. You can move those hips side to side. If you want to get into the side of the hip QL area, or if you like, adding an up dog, down dog, stretching both hip flexors at once. Whole pelvis moving, front and back. Exhale back. Inhale, arching the back. Pelvis rotating back. Exhale, forward bend. Pelvis rotating forward. This also gives some traction of the spine. Up dog, down dog at the chair. Lift away from the chair on the inhale. And exhale, keep lifting away as you come back. Always bend the knees when you come to the Adho Mukha Svanasana, the downward facing dog. And we're going to go to the other side, bringing my right foot to the chair. You could have a mat on the seat of the chair too if you're feeling unstable. And you could just do a regular lunge without the foot elevated. You could have your foot on a bench, a lower bench, stool. So again, to begin with, you might just use, this might be your pose, just a warrior one. Inhale forward, exhale back with the back foot turned out. That might be your pose, okay? If that's feeling comfortable, try to square off that back foot and come to a bigger lunge. And I don't know what I did yesterday, but I'm like really tight in this area of my body today. I think it's all the walking I did. So if you're like me, you might be really feeling your hip flexors. I'm a bit surprised. I was like, oh, I'm not normally that tight. And your knee does go towards your toes, no problem. If it doesn't hurt your knee, if it hurts your knee, then stack your knee on top of the ankle. That gives you a bit more stability. But if you want to stretch your hip more, in India, we do bring the knee forward towards the toes. That left hip being stretched, so as you can see that more on the side. Opposite arm to front leg. Doing that 4 to 6 times. And then if it's feeling comfortable, hands on the wall. You can just stay here, exhale, bend, inhale, straighten, or hands on the back of the chair, or even hands on the seat of the chair, exhale, bend. And I look down as I exhale and I really drop the hip. And I also do this to help with one hip being higher than the other. So this provides a little traction. So right down on my left hip is dropping. So if my left hip is higher than my right, this can help release that tension and actually help drop that hip. You might have some compression in one of your hips if it's always higher than the other, and that can cause pain, some nerve pain. So this could be very helpful for that. It's also really stretching that thigh. And psoas. Now you can add on if you like. So inhale, lunge. Exhale, bend the back knee, look down. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, stretch that front leg, holding on to the seat of the chair or the back of the chair. This is a lot harder. You can also hold on to the wall if you get close enough. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, bend that back knee. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, you can just come back a little bit or a lot. And with the wall version, you can keep your back really straight if you're concerned about rounding it. Take your medicine. Exhale, bend that back knee. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, stretch the front leg. Inhale, lunge. Exhale, bend the left knee. Inhale, straighten the left leg. Exhale, stretch the right leg. Just one more time. It's the hardest version. Again, you don't have to do these add-ons. Moving forward to your lunge and just carefully bring your top leg down. That can be a little tricky. Coming to your forward bend at the chair. Bring your hips side to side if you like. Nice wide feet, that can feel good for that particular version. So that might be what you do. Inhale, center, exhale, hip to the side, bend knee at the side you're bringing your hip to. Keep that going, or if you like, adding on through a plank to an upward facing dog. So you might just come to the plank or bring your hips through, lift away from the chair, bring your hips through and exhale, coming back. Check out your feet. One foot might be trying to get in front of the other. Create some space for some problems in a hip or a knee. Let's see if you can align those feet. Lift away from the chair. As you come forward, exhale back. And just stay in that down dog again if it's comfortable. You can do the full downward dog if you prefer, of course. For the upper back, neck, and shoulders, just adding that little add-on for those in the room with those issues. Inhale, look up, press your hands down. Exhale, look down, bend the knees, look back at your toes. Feel that in your upper back, neck, and shoulders. Inhale, look up, press your hands down. Exhale, bend your knees, bring your head back, and look at your feet. Head all the way through those arms. Keep that going. This really helps with kyphosis or rounding in the upper back. It's really hard to mobilize the upper back. It doesn't like to move very much. The lower back takes the brunt of a lot of our movement. So it's nice to isolate it a bit in poses like this. And when you're ready, standing in Samasthiti. And close to time to come down to the floor. I want to do one forward bend, Uttanasana, with just the feet apart. Inhale, arms coming up. Let's do to the sides. And I'm going to do a chanting exhale, Om first. Om. Inhale, coming up. Next one, Om Namo. I surrender, I let go. Om Namo. Next one, Om Namo Namaha. Om Namo Namaha. Let's do that last one again. Om Namo Namaha. Om Namo Namaha. Just stay in your forward bend. Again, for those of you who need to, you're doing this with the chair so that your head's not going below your heart. You've got circulation issues, heart issues, cardiovascular issues, eye issues. Otherwise, let your head hang. Maybe bring your rib cage forward on your thighs. Maybe bend your knees. Hands can be on blocks. Hold those big toes with your peace fingers if you like. Uttanasana. I'm just going into a meditative breath. If it's comfortable, inhale, let, exhale, go.
It's just natural breath. Inhale, let, exhale, go, or Sanskrit. Inhale, Om, exhale, Namo. Just letting go of any tension in the mind and the body. When you're ready, coming to the ground. Before you do that, you might want to move your chair. So I'm going to do that. And grab any props you need for lying down. You can put a mat down. Okay. And I now have my watch, so I'll know what time it is. I was like, where is my watch? It's always not a good thing not to have as teacher. Okay, when you're ready lying down, I'm going to angle my camera down for you too. It's nice and bright in here today. It's a nice change after all this winter weather. See how that looks. Okay, I think you'll be able to see me pretty well. Yes, that will be better. Okay, so I'm going to just give it a little drink here. So lying down, I'm going to work with our hips. Similar ways we did standing, but now lying down. Arms at the sides. Just going to bring you into this side movement with the hips that we worked on standing. Inhale, bring the leg away. Exhale, gather the leg towards you. Now, as you do this, try to keep your knee facing up. Okay, so your foot is going to want to turn out, which you could do. That's another exercise. You turn the foot out, inhale, and then turn it in. Exhale, you might have done that before, and you certainly can do that. That works different parts of the hips. Just gonna see if you can just keep the knee facing up for now. Inhale away, exhale, center. I've got the other foot at the wall just to help me with stability. Now, can you bring this into your core, your Mula Bandha a bit more? Inhale, moving away. And exhale. I've got my leg slightly off the ground, so you could be using a mat. Okay, or you could be sliding on the floor. If you have less strength, you can just slide that leg on the floor. Now start to exhale before you start to move. So inhale's coming out. Now start to exhale. You feel the pelvic floor engage, then the lower belly, and then the belly button drawing in towards the spine as you come to the center and switch sides. So I know a few of you in the class are going to really love this exercise for your hips. Strengthening the lateral side of the hips, which also affects the lower back. So we were talking about the deep six, these stabilizing muscles. You can Google them, the deep six of this. You want to keep them strong and flexible. So we're going to actually stretch them as well. You might want your palms down for a bit more stability. Keep that going side to side, your own timing. Notice where you feel that in your hips. Okay, just rest for a moment, and then we're going to do that what I call swimming foot, and I want you to see if you can feel different parts of your hips moving. Glute max, glute med, glute min. There's three stabilizers there. Then you've got your quadratus lumborum, which connects to your lower back. It's like two cords connected to your lower back that go down in a triangle to either side of your hips. You can picture that. It's two cords or two wires. So working that whole area. So inhale, open up the foot to the side. And then exhale, toe in as you come back to the center. Just see how that feels in your hip to do that movement. Inhale, opening out to the side. And exhale, toe in. So these are all variations of Tadaka Mudra, or we call it Padangustasana variations. I'm not sure. It's a bit of pre-yoga, as one of my teachers used to say. Preparing us for other poses. Inhale, opening, and exhale, centering. We are going to stretch this area very soon. So you might prefer that over the last one we did. Just do one more round. Classically left to right. You can do the opposite if you like. And just rest in Uttanasana. Just resting here. Okay, we're going to move into Dvipadipedam bridge. Use the bolster, you can use a block or a pillow. And this one is very nice to do on a mat. You have a mat underneath you. So we're just going to start by squeezing that bolster or block or pillow. As you exhale, squeeze. Feel those inner thighs again working. We're back to that inner thigh adduction area. Inhale, release, and exhale, squeeze. So we worked on the standing. We're now doing it supine. So it's wonderful for strengthening pelvic floor and the lower abdominals. Now I want you to notice pelvic tilting as you do this. As you exhale, can you feel that your tail tucks under? And inhale, can you feel that your tail comes to the floor and you're arching your lower back away from the floor? Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, squeeze the bolster. And inhale, breathe from the chest down to the belly and feel the back arch. Now you could keep the bolster or move to something a little smaller as we move into Dvipadipedam bridge, just a pillow or one of these brick hard blocks. But I actually really like doing this with a small pillow because you can squeeze in a bit more. So if you have one, you can use that. I'm going to use this yoga block today. So let's see how this goes. This is a little bit of a new experiment I've been working with. So you're going to exhale, you're going to squeeze that block and lift the hips up as you exhale, just the hips. Keep the upper back on the ground. Inhale, release, come down. Exhale, you're going to come up, Squeeze that block, just the lower back, just the hips coming off, upper back is on the ground. Inhale, release. Feel the pelvic tilt as you do this. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, squeeze. And inhale, release. Let the back relax and pelvis rotates forward, the back arches. So just notice how those pelvic tilts feel in your lower back and hips. So this is definitely both lower back and hips. Very soothing, hopefully. If you have lower back pain, this might feel really good. It's also great for the hips. Okay, we're going to add on, this is the part I just played with yesterday. So it's nice if we can move on exhale. It gives a different flavor to the pose. Okay, so exhale, you're going to lift just the hips and the lower back, not the upper back. So out and exhale. Now inhale, I want you to have the upper back. Inhale, bring the arms up and breathe into the chest and the belly. And now exhale, we're going to roll down. The pelvic floor contracts, the lower belly contracts, and then the whole body comes down and the spine is pretty neutral now. Okay, it's a little bit different from before. So inhale here. Exhale, lift the hips. Just the hips, just the lower back. Inhale, add the upper back as you bring the arms up. Exhale, roll down. The upper back down to the lower back. Just roll that spine down. Inhale, take a break. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, just lift the hips and the lower back. Squeeze that block. Inhale, lift higher, add the upper back. This is a full bridge pose, Dvipadipedam, with both upper and lower back, but we're isolating those two parts today. Exhale, roll down from the upper back down, or you can focus on the breath contracting from the pelvic floor up. It will affect the body differently depending on where you focus your mind. So two possibilities. Inhale, rest. Exhale, pelvic floor, lower belly, belly button in, lift the hips only, not the upper back. Squeeze that block. Inhale, adding the chest. Breathing from the chest to the belly as you come all the way up into the full pose. And exhale, rolling the spine down from the upper back to the middle back to the lower back, neutral spine. Create it through that exhale. And just rest. And notice how you feel. Just go to Uttanasana. Stretch your legs out long. Supine, Uttanasana, just a resting position. I only found out the name of this pose in the last year from a friend of mine. He's a student of Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy studied with Krishnamacharya before Desigacharya did, a little earlier period of his work. It's quite interesting. Seeing a few different things. So counter pose to this, we're going to do our windshield wipers or Jatra Padavriti, the feet nice and wide. Wide as your mat. Inhale, center. Exhale, bringing the knees side to side. And getting into that psoas, as well as the quads. Inhale, center. Exhale, other side. Internal rotation. Taking a pause between inhale and exhale. Start to exhale before you start to move. Free to turn your head the opposite way and even the opposite palm down. Let's come to the center. Palms facing up, head center. You can keep this going, or if you like, just isolating one leg at a time, bring one leg down towards the opposite big toe. Inhale, center. Exhale, my left knee is coming down towards my right big toe and stretching the thigh. And perhaps into the piriformis a bit. I'm not targeting that as much today as we did last class. Keep that going. Dropping that hip down. And then just rest in Uttanasana again. Putting my feet on the wall. I can really feel my hips if they're in balance. I tend to have one hip higher than the other. And at this point in the class, I feel that hip really down. And I know I've done my job. So just notice if you can feel that in your own hips, you'll feel it a lot if you chronically have one hip higher, because it will be quite a big change that your nervous system's tracking, your somatic nervous system, tracking your sense of the body, your felt sensed awareness of the body. Feel some energetic flows down towards your feet. Okay, so we're going to do our sleeping Vishnu pose. You're going to lie on one side, and this one is really nice to do on a carpet or a thicker yoga mat if you've got that, or you put a blanket under that hip if you need a bit more cushioning, because that can be uncomfortable from the hip. And bending your legs, just to begin with, looking like a clamshell. Now, if you're not comfortable lying on your arm, you can use a pillow or a block. And bring your hands forward. So that's an option if that's not comfortable. Now I'm going to straighten that top leg in front. You can have both legs straight. It becomes a little bit challenging as you lift the leg up. So I'm going to keep my lower leg down. And I actually like, the lower leg bent, because it gives me a bit more traction in the hip when I do that inhale. So that's the version I'm going to do. Classically, you're up like this, and you're holding your big toe, and you're doing this, and you're trying not to fall over. So that's Vashisthasana. Oh, sorry, wrong pose. Untitled, sleeping Vishnu pose. Ananta means infinite harmony, balance, which is what Vishnu is all about. And his bed is very balanced between hard and soft. Not too strong, not too flexible, just right. Goldilocks. Inhale, stretching that top leg, those top toes. This is my left leg on top. Stretching nice and long, and I'm bringing my left arm to join the right. You might be doing the opposite, that's fine. Really feel that traction in your hip as you do that. Now as you exhale, bring your leg up and keep your knee facing forward towards the camera, and inhale, extend and lengthen, palms together, or you can skip the arms if you're not using the arms because it hurts your neck and shoulders. You can just skip the arm movement, just move the leg. You can have the legs bent and just do clamshells if that feels better for you. Inhale, lengthen, stretch those toes away from you, and exhale, bringing the leg up, knee facing forward. Feel those outer thigh muscles working, those abductors. We did this last week. And again, Ananta, Anantasana, Ananta is mentioned in Yoga Sutra chapter 247 as the outcome of practicing in a way where you let go of any unnecessary tension you find a state of relaxation balance with attention, stiram and sukham. And in that balance, you sink into a state of ananta, infinite harmony, very deeply within. Just take a rest in side child for a moment. Just resting at top hip. So learn to use your energy efficiently. That's what the sutra says. You learn efficiency in action. It's one of the definitions of yoga from the Bhagavad Gita, actually. Switching to the other side. You learn efficiency in action by letting go of any unnecessary tension in the mind-body. Patanjali doesn't say that, but he's always talking about both. Extend that top leg long if you can, otherwise keep it bent. Again, you could have your head on a pillow and your arms in front and not use the arms. Inhale, extend that top leg and decompress that hip if there's any compression there. That top arm, it's my right arm, right leg, lengthening. Exhale, bring the leg up, hand on the thigh, or you could bring it down to the ground and toe down slightly so you're not turning your foot out. It will want to usually. Inhale, extend, Anantasana, sleeping Vishnu pose, sleeping on a bed of snakes. That bed of snakes is called Ananta, one of the names of Patanjali, Adishesha, and it means harmony, balance, which is one of the virtues of Vishnu, is balance between the hard and soft, between the sympathetic, parasympathetic nervous system, being attentive without being tense, and relaxed without being lazy. Sthira Sukhamasana, chapter 246, Yoga Sutras, defining how we practice the asanas, the postures. How we practice them physically and also mentally. What's our attitude? Become very efficient in how you practice by letting go of any unnecessary tension, Patanjali goes on to say. As you learn to do that, you'll go into a state of ananta. It's very similar to what psychologists call flow, going into a state of flow. And when you've had enough, you can rest inside child's pose. This was our peak pose today that we were working towards. Now we're just going to stretch it all out before we end today. So if you could grab your belt, we're just going to do our leg stretches. And if you could grab one soft block or a little pillow. I'm going to be demoing my right leg first, just because of where I'm lying. You can do the left first if you like, which is more classical in my tradition. Start with the receptive, the left, before you move to the active. When you're ready, putting your belt on the ball of your right foot or left foot, bringing it to the sky. This is going into the legs right now. You're going to exhale, bend the knee. And inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten. Doing that around 6 times. Now we're going to go to the side. So I'm going to hold that belt with my right hand. Bring my right leg to the side. Inhale, open. I've got that block underneath so that my hips stay balanced. So I come to the side. My other hand is at the side. Palm up or down. Inhale, open. Exhale, center. And you can bring the leg across a little bit if you like. Inhale, open. We're going to go more into that space in a minute. Exhale, center or over towards the left. Just stretching those adductors. That groin area can get quite tight, especially if you have a hip imbalance. You'll probably have one groin area that's tighter than the other. It might match with a tight hip. If it's comfortable, just stay in that side position. Breathe there. Otherwise, keep it moving if that feels better. Coming up to the center, switching hands, stretching the other side of the hip that we strengthened so much today. You might have a lot of tightness here. Try to keep the hip coming down to the ground. You'll want to go over all the way. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a different function. We're going to go into that pose next week. This is just a leg stretch from the outside of the leg and hip. Try to drop that hip down. You can use that right hand to loop the hip down a bit as you do this to keep that hip going down. And again, you can keep it moving. Inhale, center, exhale, side if that feels better. This might be quite tight. Be careful. And come to the center. Just stay here in the leg stretch in the center for a minute. The legs straight if you can. Otherwise, you can bend and straighten. I like to put the belt on the ball of my foot to increase the stretch into the calf hamstring. The more you can keep that knee straight, the more you'll get into the hamstrings as well. Keep dropping that right hip down. And now we're going to do the other side. That soft block to my left hip. Actually, I'm going to turn around just to make it easier for you to see me. Inhale, center, exhale, bend. You're not already doing it, and just notice where you feel that. You might be feeling quite a bit in that right psoas, hip flexor area, the hamstrings of the left leg. You feel complete, starting to come to the side, holding with the same hand as the leg that's moving out. I'm using my left leg, inhale, opening. I've got my right foot at the wall. That leg can be bent. Exhale, coming to the center and maybe over towards the right. Stretching the legs and the hips. And because of that, it's also really good for the lower back, often these movements. After repeating 4 to 6 times, opening and closing that door, you might want to stay in the position. Or keep it moving, your choice. Classically, you'd be holding the big toe. That's quite tough, but you could do that. Now, when you're ready, you're going to bring that leg center and move to the other side. I'm switching hands, so I've got my right hand holding my left leg, and I'm going to use my left hand to loop my left hip down to the ground, putting my thumb in the hip flexor, rolling the hip down to the ground because it will want to pop off. If you like too intense, inhale, release, center, exhale, come back to the side, and you can always bend the knee a little bit as well and straighten. That's another way you can ease off on the tension, is just exhale, bend, inhale, straighten in the pose. That can be quite tight, this IT band area. When you're complete, into the center, bring both legs up into your belt. Exhale, legs towards your toes a little bit or a lot. Your lower back on the ground, inhale, legs away. point the toes if you can. Exhale, flex the toes towards the nose. Inhale, point the toes away, back to the legs and feet, and lower back. And you can keep doing that, or if you like, just finishing with happy baby. Hold under the thighs with your hands. Interlock your fingers. Or if you can, holding the calves or the outsides of the feet. Stay here, or inhale, straighten, exhale, bend. That can be quite tough, so probably most of you will just stay here and get that lower back to the ground. Really decompress your lower back. Really stretching your hamstrings probably too, backs of your legs. And then rest your legs. I'm going to take a layer of your blocks or your bolster and put it under your legs. We're going to end with a body scan today. Body scan meditation. We quite a tough class, so I'm going to give you easy relaxation. You want to work on balancing the hips. You might want to just put your feet at the wall, which is what I personally like to do. So just pick your variation that feels best. And just feel the soles of your feet. Feel your toes. Whole foot, all the way to the ankles and the heels. Feel the calves, knees, hamstrings, the back of the thigh area. Feel from the hips down to the feet, sinking into the ground. Stay there a little longer. Just feel from the hips down to the feet. Apana-vayu, that downward flow of energy. When you're ready, moving to the lower back, letting go of any tension there. Maybe as you exhale, drawing the belly in and feel the lower back sink into the ground. Lengthening that lower back. Again, your knees can be bent if your lower back's bothering you. Putting a bolster or blocks underneath so you can relax your legs. When you're ready, moving to your mid-back, feel your mid-back sinking into the ground. Let go of any tension there. Now feeling your upper back, neck, and shoulders sinking into the ground. Can you inhale, and then as you exhale, breathe down from the upper back to the middle back, to the lower back, to the hips, to the backs of the legs, to the feet. Let's do that again. Inhale. And exhale from the upper back, middle back, lower back, hips, legs, feet. Feeling the backs of the arms, the hands. Feeling the back of the neck. Feeling the back of the head. wading into the ground. Feel from the top of the head, down the back of the head, neck, shoulders, arms, upper back, middle back, lower back, hips, hamstrings, knees, calves, heels, feet, toes, and rest. Just ending our class in this position today. Inhale. You can join me for an Om if you like. Om. Two more. Inhale. Inhale. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you very much. Namaste.